And Teresa, last but not least, Teresa Turner. You want to speak from there, Teresa?
When are we supposed to?
You have 10 minutes.
Are we ending at 12:30?
Yeah.
Okay, I really want to forego my presentation because I want discussion, and I'm kind of selfishly wanting to learn more from other people than two. But let me just say, like, the bottom line of what I'm on about here is, as a person who has been very much shaped by the Marxism of C.L.R. James, who introduced ethnicity or racialization and gender into class analysis and class struggle, not alone, but with many others, emphasized that the key new thing that Marx gave us was that with the growth of large corporations, we have the growth of a working class that's organized, united, and disciplined by that corporate structure. So today we see that all around. We had a brilliant presentation by our friend Richard yesterday referring to the internet and other realities. And as Lee was saying, the new world is here, and it's all around us in the commoning and in the organizations that might on the surface look like other kinds of organizations. Some people are talking about Alcoholics Anonymous, self-help groups and whatnot. There's all kinds of the burgeoning religious groups and affiliations and meetings and so on globally. These organizations are here, and what I think we need to do to bring about a solution to the impending doom that many of us are acutely aware is right around the corner in terms of we don't really have very much time to make a successful strike. That these organizations are emerging on a global basis into a movement of movements. And if we think in terms of the links amongst us that we have created ourselves as a result of the corporate structure that we're engaged in, we can see, and I'm looking at a pattern between 07 and the present, but I want to give a little bit of a preview by mentioning yet again the February 15th, 2003 global demonstration against the US invasion of Iraq. Part of that global upsurge was a global nakedness demonstration by women and with some support from men. What this was, it was an announcement of a global housework, sex work, labor production work, including of oneself as a woman in the world. A global social factory strike was announced, and right after that we found lots of different things happening, and I'll just mention one very crucial one, which is that the people who produce the agricultural commodities globally started to stop that on a much accelerated scale, which led to the food riots beginning in August of 07, which swept away governments such as in Haiti, impacted almost every country in the world, and resulted in the third world southern governments backing off from neoliberal rules that they were imposing, broke up neoliberalism in the South. It precluded by a very short number of weeks the global financial collapse, which then led to the northern governments backing off of the neoliberal agenda in crucial respects. So I'm giving you an illustration here of this new world that's coming up. Some people say, oh well, it happened because of Via Campesina. I'm sure Via Campesina was a crucial element and all that feeds into this, the peasant way or the small farmer way or the autonomous energy sovereignty, food sovereignty way, the localization way, the let's not work with the corporations way. You know, lots and lots of things fed into it, but I'm just suggesting that a way of thinking that focuses not on the party, not on the vanguard, not on the elite, high consciousness, correct line type of politics, But the politics of recognizing the actual manifestation of this new world in a very strategic way amongst the people who have been brought together, not just by corporations, but by the markets within which they work, to affirm a different set of direct relationships amongst each other, perhaps much less dense relationships in terms of global distance, but much more dense in terms of local relationships. And women are leading this. And as Lee pointed out, half the world can't be characterized as an oil junkie. Half the world has avoided that addiction, right? And we have a very great deal to learn from that world.
Okay, in terms of discussion, I'd be glad to serve as the recognizer of raised hands, or we can have a free-for-all. What's your pleasure? Raised hands?
Yeah.
Okay. Put them up. Well, I'll say one thing. It seems to me that everybody who spoke dealt with the transition. And everybody who spoke also dealt with the importance of food and energy and the issue of enclosures that are going on while we speak of the transition, ongoing enclosures, not only around land, but around intellectual property, the corporatization of the transition, you might say. That seems to be a common theme. I don't know if it helps people address issues, in addition to, of course, gender and race.
I have a sort of a question / comment, but is the solution, or I've heard a lot, I guess in the last couple of days, about the problems, a lot about the problems. I think the average is 14 slides, or I'm making this up, 14 slides of problems and 1 slide of solution. But and where does that hope lie? Is it, I mean, and maybe personally, professionally, I guess I'm a little wary about a concept of, primitivism, as it says, return to some sort of primitive society. I don't mean pre-capitalist, I mean pre-progressive society. Or is there any alternatives in terms of planning alternatives or greater collective control? Have we totally dismissed the Soviet experience of 80 years as a total failure, Chinese experience, Cuban experience, et cetera, and are we headed towards some total, primitive beginning, or where do some people see this as heading in terms of solutions? Is it towards some sort of basic ecological primitivism, or is it just some sort of maybe progressive planning, et cetera? I'm not sure where some people lie on this.
It seems the future, right?
It seems to be, but again, I can appreciate the fact that 50% of the world doesn't have the reliance on hydrocarbons, et cetera, that Western societies have. But what troubles me is when somebody gets sick in this room and they need some sort of advanced medical care, some sort of MRI care, et cetera, that's clearly a product of a progressive, modernized world. There almost seems to be a impossible dichotomy building.
Do you want to address this question to anyone in particular?
No, I would say to the discussants.
Okay,
I just like, yeah, mine's actually just a response to the question, because I think there's an implicit social Darwinism in that question, which is a particularly Eurocentric notion that the modernization is the only way to go, rather than respecting the autonomy and diversity of a whole series of other possibilities and cultural possibilities in the way in which humans relate themselves to their natural livelihood conditions. So I think we need to be very careful not to, fall into that kind of conservatism.
I agree, but we all drove here in cars, we all flew here in airplanes, and we all presented using modern technology, and we share the benefits of this comfort of this building and the parking lot, et cetera, et cetera. So we live in that kind of modern world, for better or for
Who's
worse.
we?
What's the transition?
Who is we?
I think all of us.
Well, yeah, but there are others who are not
Okay.
here.